this is Steve from Traffic Light Reviews, reminding you guys to support local artists as we take a second to recognize CTV PODCAST, the most must-see podcast of all time, starring Mike Canatella, Joey Testa, and sometimes Mike Vasey. Check them out in the links below. Welcome back to another new release video. Today in this week's episode, normally there'd be both of us if both of us have seen it, but due to the times that we're in, it is not accessible for everybody to get to a theater. So today I'm going to be reviewing TENET, and what a ride I'm going to be talking about. There will be, I'll give you one spoiler right now, okay? And it's not that big of a deal. Because we see it in the trailers, it's sort of like a semi-spoiler, but it goes with the review I'm talking about. The entire movie taking place from the perspective in forward time, because the movie does show you things that move forward and back in reverse. So the entire narrative takes place from the perspective of John David Washington's character, entirely straight. So you follow him in real time the whole movie. And that's where I have the problem with this film, because it creates its own rules as it goes. It really wants to be whatever it wants to be and doesn't really think that you'll notice. There are some gaps in this film, unfortunately. It is directed by Christopher Nolan, director of Inception, the director of the Batman, the Dark Knight trilogy, as I should call it more so. And he is much known for pretty much taking an idea and blowing it up to all hell and making you scratch your head. And he's definitely not going to answer any questions for you along the way. He's going to give you a little bit of what you need just to keep you going, take you along a huge, massive ride, almost in the vein of James Cameron. Because when he knows how to do action, he does it big, and he does not fall short of that. The only thing is that as I was watching this movie, I realized, wait a minute, they told us some rules about going backwards in time, inversion that they call it, and they were breaking it as the movie was going. But to the movie's defense, they do say it in a very nonchalant way. They don't explain everything, and there's even a character in the beginning of the movie, the woman you see from the preview, teaching John David Washington about catching the bullets. She pretty much says, you can't read too much into this. You know, so right in the beginning of the film, when you're letting the audience know, I'm not gonna answer all of your questions. I don't necessarily have a problem with that, but all I keep wondering is, well, what is it gonna show me? Christopher Nolan is really good at. He is really good at giving you the story he wants to tell you. One of my personal favorite movies is Inception, because somehow in the middle of a heist movie, he manages to sneak in a love story with the Leonardo DiCaprio character. And I almost felt like TENET was a ripoff of that in that sense, where he does try to sneak in a love story with John David Washington and the only woman in the movie. It's not like he had any other choice. Well, there were other small, very small bit side character women, but yes, the only woman in the movie. Hats off to Kenneth Branagh, because I think that there's nothing Kenneth Branagh does that is he every single role Kenneth Branagh does, he's amazing. So he is the villain in this film. He takes it. He owns it. If anything, you want to see him in all those scenes, because you just know you're gonna get something good. Now the thing is, as the movie is going, it does what the story it's trying to tell you. It does a really great job as it tells you the story forwards and back. You could almost argue that this movie is just 3 scenes. Once you get to, after they explain a little bit of what inversion means, just about 3 scenes, but it's really cool because they show it in real time. John David Washington then inverts, and then he's going through the same scene backwards. That's amazing. That sounds brilliant. That sounds truly interesting. The only thing is, they do break some of their rules along the way. It's not that big a deal. You may not catch it on the first viewing because, yes, if you had questions at the end of Inception, you're going to have a hell of a lot of questions after this movie. I don't necessarily think that's a bad thing. I just would hope that this director, having gone through all the films he's made, would know a little better and not give us the treatment like that every other thing does that says, I'm not really going to care about explaining everything. I'm just going to do whatever I want to do. No, by all means, everyone's entitled to do that. And he does not fall short of delivering you true, amazing, cinematic masterpiece in that regard. But the storytelling, in terms of that, it does fall flat on its face, lending towards a sequel, unfortunately, which Christopher Nolan is not known to do. We will probably not get all the questions answered. So yes, unfortunately, I have to give this movie the yellow light, because I do feel that while it is extremely entertaining, you will not waste your time for 1 second, just for the visual imagery of what, and the accomplishment of the film, because the actors have to talk backwards as well. And a lot of the effects were done practically, as in that car, flip
actually they made it happen in reverse as well. There's some truly technological achievements here that we cannot deny, but I do wish that we got a little bit more fleshed out story as to the explanations, and we're not just thrown along for this ride, because then it just feels like every other movie. If you saw the movie, let me know what you think. Let me know if you were okay with all the things, if you just got swept up in the magic and it didn't matter to you that they didn't answer all the questions. Love to hear your comments below. You can definitely subscribe and follow us on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. Thank you, guys.